Hey, Math 3-2s, we're going to go over our worksheets here. So for this first one, pretty little simple little itty bitty one. Just talk about the characteristics, or sorry, this is the second one, characteristics, and the connection between exponential and logarithmic functions of the same base. So the first part is just review from the last chapter. So we should know that the domain of a exponential function is going to be XER. Oh, it's going to be a tricky. If I can get this done right properly. That didn't work properly. Okay. Just 1 second. I'm going to pause this and fix it. Okay, there we go. This should work out. Yeah, so the domain of this is just going to be, oops, would work if I have this in the pen mode, XER. And the range of a log graph is YER. So remember that they are inverses of each other, so the X and Y's will switch their spots. So there is a connection here. The range of an exponential is y is greater than 0. And because of that, the domain of a log graph is x is greater than 0. So again, they switched the x and y's. There are no x-intercepts. Therefore, there are no y-intercepts in a log graph. And the y-intercept, you could just say 1. But remember, the y-intercept is when you make x equal to 0. So it'd be 1, 0. But if you switch the x and y's, it becomes an x-intercept where the y is equal to 0, which is be 1 as well. Asymptotes here, we don't really talk too much about asymptotes, but there is a horizontal asymptote at the x-axis. Let me just write that as x-axis. And this one has a vertical. Because it used to be horizontal, then when it reflected or switched, it went vertical on the y-axis. There you go. See what the next one's all about here. For each of these, let's just figure out the values of the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts and stuff. And none of these graphs have changed too much. So if I go up here, the x-intercept is 1, 0. So all of these will have an x-intercept of 1. The y-intercept of these, there's none. Now, you could have a log graph that has a y-intercept or a different x-intercept, but that's beyond this course. You'd add some extra numbers here, like you put a little extra number between the x and the log. You can put plus and minuses on the other side here, but that's not going to happen in this case. The end behaviors. Okay, so the end behaviors are a little bit trickier, right? So you just have to remember that if you have a positive a value, so this is a positive graph, it's going to go this way, right? So it's going to come from the bottom and go to the top. So I would say that's coming from quadrant 4, going over to quadrant 1. But if you have a negative graph like this next one, it's going to go the other way. So it's going to go down this direction, right? So it's coming from 1 and going down to 4. Okay, and this one's positive. You can see there's a positive 0.5 in the front. So that means this is going from 4, kind of like the first one, over to 1. And this is also positive because there's a positive 100 there. So this is going from 4 to 1. So there's only one different one here. Because of the positive and negative part, you could say that if it's positive, it's increasing. If it's negative, it's decreasing. It's just the way you draw it, like it's going downwards and the other one's going upwards. Increasing, increasing. Okay, so the domain of all these are going to be the same, so I'm just going to write it once. It's greater than 0, XER, all the way down. And the range is going to be the same, so I'll just write it once as well. All the way down. There you go, it's this YER. That's just the same as that previous graph up here. Okay, so let's look at this log graph here. Got a nice little positive log graph. What's the x-intercept? Well, 1. All right, you can state it as a point as well. You can go 1, 0. However you want to write it, doesn't matter to me. There are no y-intercepts, none, end behaviors, because it's positive, it's going upwards here. I would say that this is coming from 4 over to 1. State the domain. Oh yeah, this is just x is greater than 0, XCR. And what's the range? YR. There you go. Okay, that was a pretty quick one, pretty easy one. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.